Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. The theme of today is it's not easy being me. You've never heard that theme before. No, I tell you, I got a lot to cover. Made some good progress on the Waterwheel project. I think this week, I hate to even say it out loud, but I think this week we'll get enough structure up there that we can actually cover it and it'll be more or less waterproof. Pretty sure that'll happen this week. Not positive. But before we get to that, let me go through a few housekeeping things. We'll be at Dickey's Barbecue Pit in Rolla, Missouri tomorrow evening from 6 to about 8:30. And the crew will consist of Bill on guitar, Beverly possibly on bass, but dobro and guitar if not, and Leon on banjo, and myself on the mandolin. And so that's going to be it. Don and Gary won't be there tomorrow, I don't think. At least, I haven't heard from them to confirm it, but they were planning to go camping, so I don't think they'll be there. In other news, we've got the Peyton brothers. I think the names are Carl and Cole are going to be here on the 21st. Just viewers of the channel and wanted to stop in. They're on a road trip passing through and asked if they could stop in, and I said sure, come on by. They might be here while I'm putting the roof on the Waterwheel thing. You just never know. It's supposed to be a cool week this week, at least by comparison, and hopefully I can take advantage of that and work up there on that roof and get that thing started. Let's see. This Thursday we'll have our lesson. It's going to be about chord pattern number 2. Mostly we're just going to play songs in the chord pattern number 2. And the chord patterns don't really have a number. It's just that there's only 2 of them, and we've already showed you one, so this one's the second one. Not that one's more important than the other. They're just 2 different patterns that you use on the mandolin, and once you learn those 2 patterns, you literally can play anything. It's pretty much that basic. Anyway, so that'll be for Thursday. So if by chance you have anything specific you want me to try to include Thursday, feel free to put it in the comments. And let's see, in other news, Mountain View, Arkansas, we'll be back down there October 17th, 18th, and 19th. And we'll be playing with Britt Curry. Britt called me Friday, I think it was, or was it Saturday? It was Friday. It was before I went to the jam. We had a jam at the Houston house on Friday evening, and I was just walking out the door, and Britt Curry called me. And Britt used to be the fiddler for, I think, Alan Jackson. He is one really fine fiddler. Oh my gosh, he is so good. It's really hard to explain how good he is on a fiddle. Just incredible. And anyway, he called. He had a little problem with a guitar he wanted to discuss, and so we were talking about that. And he's going to be there, and he'll be at Mountain View, Arkansas, jamming with us when we're there on the 17th, 18th, and 19th. September 28th, besides the fact that that's my brother Scott's birthday, we'll be playing live at the Lyric Live Theater in Newburgh, downtown Newburgh. Boy, you've made it when you're playing at the Lyric Live Theater in downtown Newburgh. No, it's just a neat old theater. It's a really, really old theater, and but if you're in the area or can make plans to be here, that would be a fun time to come and see the show, because it'll be a live stage show on September 28th, Lyric Live Theater, and I think it starts at 7 o'clock in the evening. I mentioned last week I just about got a Charlie horse started there, trying to straighten my leg back out. Yeah. Anyway, I mentioned last week that I had tried a new mushroom that I had never eaten, Hen of the Woods. Now, I'm not positive. There's 2 of them that look almost alike, Hen of the Woods and Chicken of the Woods, and they're almost the same. And I think people interchange them, but they are 2 separate mushrooms, according to the Missouri Conservation. I'm still not positive which one we have here, but here's a short video to show you what it looks like. Now, this is actually past its prime. It's already turned white. It usually is yellowish orange, so this was no good to pick, really, to eat. I picked it anyway, but I decided to discard it. I'm back here at the largest oak tree on the farm, at least that we've found, and here's where that hen of the woods is growing. You can see it there. I think this might be past its prime already. I think it's a little dry. You're supposed to pick it when it's fairly fresh, so I'm going to go ahead and pick it and see if we can cut some good stuff out of it. I don't know. Well, the answer is I do know, and it wasn't any good. It was dried out, real hard, like when they're yellow or kind of yellowish orange, they're fresh and soft. And again, I'm not sure which one that is, whether it's chicken of the woods or hen of the woods, but it's one of those two. And that's right at the same exact place where they picked the one that I ate. And I don't know why they didn't pick it all at the time, but anyway, it's really good. It was really good. Well, a while back I had said I was waiting on a 10-inch saw before I could finish up those trusses for the Waterwheel. Well, it came in, and I want to say in big, bold, giant letters, do not buy this saw. Do not buy this saw. Well, my friends, I got the new saw. That saw is a 10-inch saw, and it's made so that you can mount it on a table. Of course, I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to use it as a regular skill saw. But guess what? It doesn't have a blade guard. Here's a side-by-side comparison. You can see that this saw is quite a bit bigger than this one, I think. Although it's hard. The video don't seem to show it as well. But it's obviously a bigger blade and a smaller blade. And do you notice what's missing over here? Yeah, the blade guard. There's no blade guard on that saw, so you got to be super, super careful with this big thing. Golly, it's scary as heck to use it. It really is. Doesn't have any way to protect the blade, so it's scary as heck. You can't lay it down after you get done because your blade will hit the concrete. Let's see if it even works. I haven't even powered it up yet. Let's see. Golly, I'm a little bit leery of this. Well, that worked real good. I didn't have it set quite deep enough. On an angle like that, it's really hard to tell how deep to set it. So I'm going to set it just a little bit deeper. It does what I need it to do, but I wouldn't recommend buying it unless you're just really on a tight budget. And, I just needed it for this one operation pretty much. Still didn't cut quite deep enough. That's what I was afraid of right there. Whew, scared the heck out of me. But it cut deep enough at least. And no real harm done. Though I did somehow manage to cut my thumb when that happened. Yeah, I cut my thumb. It wasn't a bad cut, as you can see. Although it actually, that's like the skin place there. It did go in there a little deeper than that. But anyway, I've gotten used to it. I can use it, and I can use it fairly safely. I mean, that was my own fault there. I lifted the saw up while it was still turning. I get that. I know what I did wrong, but it's got no safety built into it at all. And those kinds of saws, especially when you're doing odd kinds of jobs with them, they like to kick back. They do that. And it's nice to have that blade guard that when it kicks back, that blade guard immediately covers the blade. You know, this one ain't got that. So I got smarter, you know, after I used it after that particular little scene there that you saw. After I got done with that, I started putting on all kinds of protection. I even put a large wooden block between my leg and the saw. I keep hitting this mic, sorry. But I put a large wooden block between my leg and the saw so that if it did kick back, it would hit the block of wood. You know, I do not buy that saw. I'm seriously telling you, it was cheap, and that's why it's cheap, I guess. I mean, it really is meant to be, I think, mounted under a table, and people use it like a table saw. But it's kind of a rickety saw on top of that. There's I don't know, you get what you pay for. It's really what the bottom line is. But it does do the job I need it to do, and it's cutting deeper and deep enough to do the jobs that I need to do that the other saw won't reach and won't do. And it's saved me a lot of time, but I am super careful when I use it. I really am, because I know what that thing can do. All right, let's see. Here's a little video clip on some of the truss work. Well, there's what she looks like fitted up. It's a little bit, needs to go together a little bit more yet. And I need to tweak it around just a little bit, but at least it goes together. And that's number 2. Wow, this ain't easy. Well, truss number 2 is actually finally finished. Took way longer to put those holes in and drive those pegs. Of course, I had to make the pegs too. Same with these pegs and that peg up there. Took way longer to do all that. And, then cut these notches in the precise place. Cutting those notches in the precise place is one of the hardest operations, because that's what determines your wall. It sits on there, and your roof, yeah, it just has to be right. And then, trying to keep those exactly right also while cutting those and getting them in the right place. It might seem like it'd be a simple operation. And if you were dealing with like a 2x6 or a 2x12 or something, that would be fairly simple. But dealing with these heavy 5x5s, and you move it just a little bit and it moves a whole lot. It's because of the inertia. It's really way more difficult than you would ever think. At least let me just say that differently. It's way more difficult than I ever thought it would be. But I'm getting there, and I'll hang in there till I get it. Well, there's what 2 out of 3 look like. I keep the first one that I made in the shop so that I can use it for a pattern, but these are really identical size. Are very, very, very close. I don't know. As close as you can get, I'll say it that way. And it's working out good. The hardest thing about it for me is lining up those notches, and I think I've got that down now pretty good. The first couple were really tough. This third one went much easier, but it just takes a while to figure out how to do everything. Now, I think I could get possibly by with one more, having 4 of them across the building. That would be one every couple of feet. And I think that's probably good enough. But then I still need the overhangs out on the eaves, and I'm not sure what to do about that yet. So I think I'm going to make one more truss like this and then figure out what I got to do for the overhangs. Yeah, and I've got the last truss mostly made. I've still got to peg it, and I still have to cut those 2 notches down there where those 2 notches, by the way, is the place where it's actually, those are called bird mouth cuts. Those bird mouths are what sets on top of the wall. And anyway, so here's the last little short video on the last little truss. Well, there's the 4th one put together. Now I still have to pin that joint and that joint, and I have to cut out the notch where it sits on the wall right there. This board here represents the wall, kind of. So there's a notch there that has to be cut out in this top one. 2 pins on each side, and then that one's complete also, and that makes 4. And I've decided that that will be enough, because that'll be every 2 feet I'll have one. And then I'll have to have separate ones on the either end. So I'll have to have 4 more individual posts on each end. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but there's 2 of the 4, so I've got to make 2 more posts like that. And when I'm calling them posts, that's not really a good name for it. Beams, I guess, or something like that. But anyway, they're out on the eaves. So I have to have 2 more on each end of the building, or the front and the back of the building. The back of the building, the way I'm referring to this, is the pond side. The front of the building is the driveway side. And anyway, they're spanning that direction. They're spanning from the driveway to the pond. And anyway, I think I have it in my head how I'm going to do it. My brother confirmed I could do this and it would be okay. He's a carpenter. They know their stuff, when it comes to carpentry. And so basically, now I haven't actually told them I'm going to do this, but and that doesn't matter, because the Bobcat can handle what I'm talking about. And that is, I'm actually going to hook 2 trusses together, and then the eave also. So I'm going to have the eave truss here on the outside of the wall, and then another truss toward the middle of the building, connected together. Those 3 things, and then the same on the other side of the building. So they'll come together. I'm going to set them in place, all 3 at one time with the Bobcat. I'm going to nail them together on the ground, and then chain them up and set them in place with the Bobcat. And it sounds complicated, but it's actually going to be a lot easier. And there you go. It's just not easy being me. That's the whole thing. Here's just a little video clip because I could. Thought I'd show you how sharp my knife. Thought I'd show you how sharp I got my chisels. Watch this. I don't even have to touch my arm hardly. Just like that. See all the hair there? Can you see that? Unbelievably sharp. This thing is so sharp, like I say, it's scary sharp. And that's what I've been using to cut out all the notches and to, make all the joints fit. And, like I take that big saw and I saw the kerf, I saw back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then you get a bunch of those splines, you knock the splines out, and then you take the chisel and you flatten it off. And that's why that chisel has to be so sharp, because, you're just basically doing it by hand. You're not using a hammer or anything. And with it being that sharp, it just peels that wood right off. It works really well. I think that's everything I was going to cover today, so let's go to the comments. Rod Wentler looks like he was number 1. Paul Walton was number 2. Eddie Turner is there. Let's see if there's any question marks. Dottie's praying for us. Thank you, Dottie. Praying for your grandson. Hope everything goes good with his operation. Kim Williford, good afternoon, Jerry and everyone. Hope everyone is doing okay. Well, good. Rod Wentler says, ever thought of doing a how-to video on inverter stick welders for us unsure newbies? Well, we can certainly do that, because I've got 3 inverter welders now, I think. Something like that. Yeah, I could do that. In fact, I kind of did already. I did put one out on the Harbor Freight inverter MIG welder on how to set it up to use wire feed I can't think, flux core. I couldn't think of the word. Flux core wire, how to make that work with so you don't need gas. A lot of people say that doesn't work very well, but once you get it set up right, it works like a dream. And there is a video out there already on how to do that, how to set it up for flux core. Then you don't need all that gas and all that other stuff. Now you get spatter a little more than you would if you were using the gas, but the spatter to me is, who cares, you know? I mean, I know real welders, they care about every little detail, but I just want it to work, you know, stick two things together, and I don't want it to break. And it does that. It does it really well. So you might check out for a video out there on that. Eddie might know where that video is. That one's fairly recent, within the last 3 or 4 years anyway. I don't know how many years ago, 2 years ago probably, when I made that. And Eddie might be able to tell us where that video is. But anyway, it's on Harbor Freight, and it's setting it up for wire feed welding without the gas. Let's see. Moving on down, looking for question marks. After we went live, Bill Mumbo, looks like he was the first one. Dottie's there. I don't see a lot of question marks in this. There's having conversations about health and things there, which looks like I see one maybe. Simon says, I'm astonished there is a skill saw on sale without a spring-driven blade guard. Are you sure it was new, Jerry? Oh, absolutely new. Yeah, they sell them for that purpose. Yeah, it's brand new. It came in the box with blade packaged and everything. I mean, it was brand new. Yeah, it's a scary saw. It truly is. It's it's one of those Chinese, just knock off cheap as possible things. It's doing what I need to do, but I seriously would not recommend anybody buying that. I mean, I'm not immune to getting hurt. I know I can get hurt just like anybody can get hurt. But I also know enough about that kind of stuff and been around that kind of stuff enough to really, really take as many precautions as I can. And it doesn't mean I won't get hurt still. It's just that typically I can minimize it, if you will. I don't know. I'm not immune, definitely. It looks like Nancy's got a question mark at the end there. Rod Gentler, do you have access to a local community college that might offer on welding? Yeah. Welding is actually a lot easier than most people think it is. And when you watch these welding videos, it's kind of like the mandolin thing where I tell you these people get all uppity about everything and they just, like it's only their way or nothing. And, you can't do anything but this and it's got to be exactly like such and so. Well, it's just not true. I mean, it's just not true. You do want to know some things and you do want to try to follow good practices and all that. But the bottom line is it's a lot easier than most people think it is. And that new little arc captain welder that I got, I could have anybody welding with that thing in 5 minutes. I mean, anybody. It's that simple. It's that simple. Nothing to it. Now, it might not be if you've never touched one before, but if you got somebody like myself that knows at least enough to be dangerous, I can, get you going on that thing in 5 minutes and you'd be going. It would be no problem at all. So, again, I haven't, they might have written back by now. I haven't checked email since, probably since Thursday, really. But anyway, I don't know what the deal is on that little Arc Captain welder. I mean, I got the video done. The video's uploaded. I'm just waiting to turn it loose. But I couldn't find a match to that welder out there anywhere. It's like, is it brand new? Is it a prototype? What's the deal? I don't get it. So And there's no other videos out there on it either. So it's like I would be the first video out on this, it looks like. But anyway, that little welder is a killer little welder. It's for such a little bitty dinky thing. I'm amazed that it just burns right through the deck of that brush hog, you know. But anyway, moving on down. Let's see here. What other question marks have we got? Chipwood, have the martins gone? Oh, yeah, they did. A couple of weeks ago, actually. And the horseflies are ramping up big time. They really are. The dragonflies are ramping up again. You know, all the big flying insects are coming back now. Now that the martins are gone. And I know some of you say that that's when they actually do swarm and all that, and there's truth to that. But here, with horses and the kind of animals we have, generally the horseflies are pretty much all year long. Not as bad as certain times of the year, but while the martins are here, you just don't see a horsefly. At least not very many. I think I saw 3 maybe the whole time they were here. But they're gone, you know, and it's sad. I need to take the houses down. I just never find time to do that. I need to, but I am every waking minute seems like I'm working on either that darn lawnmower or that, that Waterwheel house. And speaking of the lawnmower, I did clean the carburetor, I got it perfectly cleaned out and all that. I put it back together. I also reset the valves again. I wanted to make sure the valves that were perfect, and as far as I can tell, they are. And the thing runs not very good. I don't know what's wrong. It might be, maybe it's out of time somehow. Maybe the key has been split on the flywheel or something. Or I don't know. I may have to go further. I don't know. At the moment, I still think it's a carburation issue, but it might not be. It might be something else. So I haven't had time to look at it. I just pushed it outside out of the way and worked on these trusses. I got to get these trusses done. I got to get a roof over that thing. Anyway, let's see. The Freeze. Andy rented a room for the Bean Fest and Outhouse race. Will you be down there? Not during that. We always go the week after, I think it is. Or is it the week before? I can't remember now if we're the week before or the week after. We're there the 17th, 18th, and 19th is when we're there. We're talking about Mountain View again in October. Nancy, okay. Yeah, Nancy's saying that the community colleges have discounts for seniors. Yeah, I went to a community college a lot of years at night for night school. Matt D. Hey, Jerry, who makes a better acoustic guitar, Martin, Gibson, or Collings? Well, I don't know that I can answer that. I don't think I don't know. It's hard to say because no matter what you say, you're going to offend somebody. You know, in terms of consistency, I'd have to go with Martin on that. Collings, I'm sure, is very good. I haven't seen a lot of Collings, to be truthful. So, I mean, I've seen a few, but I haven't seen a lot of them. It's hard to beat Martin's consistency. They had a bad time in the late 70s, early 80s, Martin did. But other than that, they're pretty darn consistent. Let's see. Eddie Turner, 505 RSW, Harbor Freight Titanium MiG 140 review and setup tips. There you go. So seriously, if you watch that video, it will help you. Pretty much any MiG wire feed welder, it'll help you set it up so that it'll weld really well. Prior to doing that, I wasn't having very good luck. And I started doing some research, started figuring it out, and then tested it, and sure enough, it worked. I welded up that whole horse trailer with that little 140 MIG welder. And it's just a little Even that Harbor Freight's a small welder, but it's not as small as this Arc Captain. This Arc Captain will fit inside that one. Pretty crazy. Wavy Gravy, Jerry, maybe that saw company could throw in a complimentary first aid kit and a tourniquet. Seriously. Yeah, because see, I was afraid it would kick back and get me in the leg or something like that. I'm serious. You got to be careful with that thing. Yeah, so I either put something between me and it now, or I make sure I'm not in line with it, when I'm using it. One of the two. And the other thing, the reason that it kicked back on that, it was my own fault. I moved too soon. I should have waited till it completely stopped, or I should have went all the way out of the cut, straight out, and not lift. I lifted, and of course that's what caused the problem. But even had it, you can do that even with one with a blade guard. But the thing is, if it kicks back with the blade guard, as it's coming up, the blade guard's going down. And by the time it gets to you, the blade guard's already there, and it's covering it. That one ain't got that. It's scary as heck. I'm seriously telling you, I would not buy that saw. Yeah, Nancy says, send the saw back because it's unsafe. Well, after I'm done with it, I'm not going to send it back. I'm not a returner. I don't return anything. I mean, hardly ever. I'm sure I could count on two hands the number of things I've returned in my whole life. I doubt I could almost do it on one hand. I just don't return stuff. That's just not what I do. But that particular saw there, yeah, it gets the job done. And I told JR when he was over, I said, do not ever borrow this saw. Do not ever use this saw. This saw will kill you. That's what I told him. I said, I'm seriously telling you, don't use it. Don't borrow it. It's that scary. Paul Lanier, 2 days ago, I welded a ball socket back together drag link for lawn tractor with a small welding rod with a Bobcat Miller welder. Cool. What I like about these little inverter welders, like the Harbor Freight and this other one, is you can plug them in 110. My Harbor Freight can be 220 also, but this little welder. I said that. Now, is that true or am I lying here? I can't remember. I think the Harbor Freight can be 220 or 110. 110 for sure. And anyway, those little 110 welders, what's cool about them is you can take them anywhere. You can literally take them anywhere. Take them down your basement and weld. You could take it to your friend's house, plug it in, and weld. I mean, it's so cool that they're pretty darn powerful for that. They're not the industrial strength welder that you're going to weld half-inch steel plate with. But if you had one for a temporary fix, I would even use it for half-inch plate for what I would call a temporary fix. You know what I mean? And to limp you along till you could weld it up heavy. These things weld. I'm seriously telling you, they do way more than you think they do. Ben Boyd, my family and I will be in Mountain View when you are there. How can I find you where you will be playing? Well, Ben, as we get closer to it, let's not worry about it right now, but as we get closer to it, send me an email and then I'll text you, or I'll send you my text number so you can text me while we're down there, and I can text you. Bill Mumble says, Rosa guitars are superb, I've heard. Well, I feel like I've done pretty well with them. Like you hear Bill playing his guitar. Well, that was built in my shop, and, I supervised the whole building. He did most of the work. I did a significant amount on the guitar. And, like whenever I would approve his next step, if you will, like, in other words, I'd say, nope, you need to cut some more off of that, or, you need to take those braces down a little more, and you heard how well his guitar sounds. It's pretty much a killer guitar. It sounds really good. Spoken song. Lately, I'm having trouble finding out when you come on. Today, your thumbnail said you'd be on at 2 p.m. That's 3 p.m. here. I don't know. It's 1 p.m. Central Standard Time's all I can tell you for sure. I can't tell you anything more than that, honestly. Yeah, sorry. If you're in Ohio, you're ahead of us by an hour. So, you should be seeing us at 2:00 is when you should be seeing us. So that's all I can tell you. That's when you should see us. It'd be at 2:00 your time because it's 1:00 my time. Let's see. Larry Fisher, maybe take the mower to Chickanick. Yeah, I've seen a lot of her videos. Thumbs up, everyone. The Freeze, I have a 110, 135 MIG welder. Yep. Paul Lanier, Maxstar 150 STL, I had just blew up because it dropped on the ground from shop table. Kapoof. Huh. I guess that's a 150 welder, so I assume it is. Yeah, a fall like that from 3 feet, especially on concrete, it ain't going to do them any good. Nancy Milwaukee, does JR listen to you? You might have to lock the saw up when you are not using it. Yeah, I know what you're saying. No, I think he'll listen to me on that. Because I really I told Sue too, don't you ever use this saw. Don't use it. Just plain don't use it. But I'll probably hide it somewhere where not too likely anybody will find it. Kim Williford, Jerry, you can make a blade guard for that saw, right? No, not that I know of. Not easily, no. See, the skill saws, their blade, it's a very complicated mechanism, and it's got a spring on it, and it circles around. It ain't nothing easy to make. Nancy says, no, the app tells your local time. Okay. Well, I'm just saying by the clock, if I'm here at 1:00 Central Standard, it should be 2:00 in Ohio. So, because my daughter lives in Ohio and they're ahead of us by 1 hour. So, let's see. Moving on down, the Freeze. P.S. I use that welder more than my 220 welders. You're absolutely right. With flux core wire, anyone can weld. Yeah, it's pretty darn easy. There's a few things you got to know, especially the way you set it up. The setup is the thing. Like, you got, I don't remember right now. I'd have to go look and see how mine's set up. But, you put the electrode negative, I think. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. It's either electrode positive or electrode negative. One of those two is the way you want it for wire feed. It's opposite of the flux core, I think. It's opposite of that is flux core. It's opposite of the gas welding. Well, anyway, the point is there is a specific way to set it up. And you got to set it up that way for it to perform well. And by the way, I've also used that same Harbor Freight welder with an aluminum spool gun and had pretty darn good results with that. And I didn't think I could ever weld aluminum worth a hoot, and it welded pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern, Ronald Todd says. That's what I'm saying too. Wavy Gravy, I knew a guy who used that same saw. They now call him Lefty. Yeah, it's a scary saw. Garland Edmondson, not to brag, but I have welded with jumper cables and a battery. Yeah, I've seen that done too. I have seen it done. I've never done it. But if I was in a pinch, I'd try it. Dottie Hildebrand, can you order a guard for that saw? No, you cannot. I don't think they know how to spell it in wherever that came from. Bill Mumbo, just dismantle it, Jerry. Yeah. Nancy Milwaukee, yes, I'm in Eastern time too, so 2 o'clock. Larry Fisher, my boss has a battery-powered DeWalt stick welder for small jobs in the oil field. Pretty impressive. Pretty cool. Well, I haven't really seen one like that, I don't think, but yeah, that little new Arc Captain. I mean, all it takes is a 110 plug. I can plug it in anywhere and it'll weld. It's pretty cool. Of course, that Harbor Freight will do the same thing. TIG is straight polarity, opposite of stick. Yeah, I know there's a certain way to set them, each one of them up, and I'm no expert on remembering which way. They got diagrams right on the welders on how to set them up, so I always just set them up by the diagram. So I can't remember which one goes where, but I know how to. It's kind of like the thing. It doesn't matter if you know it. It's if you know how to find out, and I do know how to find out, if you will, and I don't remember all the specific details. Yeah, Nancy says you can get a battery-powered anything. That's for sure. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it. I had a very bad night last night sleeping. I went to bed around 10 o'clock or so and woke up around midnight and did not go back to sleep till about 6 a.m. this morning, and I only slept an hour or so then, and so I didn't get a lot of sleep. And so I think I'm going to take a nap, and then I'm going to go down there and finish up that last truss. And if I'm ambitious enough, I'm going to start putting 3 of those together. Like I said, 2 trusses and then the eave overhang. So there'll be 3 of them put together. It's going to look like 3 trusses put together pretty much. But one of them will be the eave overhang. And then I'm going to pick that up with a chain and the Bobcat and set it in place. At least that's the plan right now. You know how plans can change. Thank you all for being here. We will see you tomorrow with something else.